go down to Rome's undisclosed location, obviously. Also something that was obvious that the Vikings defense was very poopy last year. It wasn't good. And you would think that on paper, on purpose, roster-wise, structure-wise, that they're pretty solid. But a lot of veterans, a lot of older veterans, a lot of bad contracts in that defense, and that Donatello just like sitting back, down a shell of defense, not blitz, played Daniil Hunter out of position, all that stuff. But either way, it was maybe not the only reason that the Vikings lost in the wildcard round to the Giants, but it was a major factor. I mean, they give up 31 points as well as 431 yards of offense to Daniel freaking Jones at home. You're not going to do good. But Brian Flores coming in, I think he's going to completely turn this defense on its head because the talent is there. Especially, even though I love Patrick Peterson, I love Eric Kendricks forever. Some older veterans on that side of the ball. It was time to clean house. And Diesel Dalvin Tomlinson, I liked a lot. I wasn't going to pay him $14 million a year, so good luck with the Browns. But I think that Flores is going to come in and just bring a hard-nosed, aggressive attitude. And, Donatello, I know that he's a very knowledgeable dude, but they're just way too passive on defense last year. Because it's one thing to be bad. It's another thing to be bad and passive. Now, you can be bad aggressive because guess what? Just simply by being aggressive, you are going to give yourself some favorable opportunities. Now, you may not be a completely shut down defense because some of the best defenses of all time. You look at the 2000 Ravens, you look at the 2002 Bucks, you look at the Legion of Boom era Seahawks. Like, they didn't have to get fancy. They literally just lined up and played you because guess what? They had all-world talent at every single level. Vikings defense doesn't have that right now. But guess what? If you're aggressive, if you take chances, sometimes you get burnt, sometimes whatever. But also, if you sit back and not be aggressive, you're going to get burnt as well. And so it's sort of a pick your poison. But Flores, he's going to bring an energy, and you can already feel it being very palpable. Like the young defensive guys on that side of the ball, they're excited about this new brand of football. And Flores is, when he was head coach of the Dolphins, and even when he was DC of the Patriots, was amongst the league leaders in terms of blitzing. So he's going to bring it. And I think that's going to bring a lot of enthusiasm to this defense. I think you're going to see guys like Brian Asamoah, Lewis Seen, Harrison Smith, I think is going to have a rebirth season. And I think that overall, is this going to be a shutdown defense that only gives up 180 yards and 3 points a game? No. But also, is this a defense that's going to be opportunistic? A defense that's going to steal possession or two? A defense that is going to put offenses in third and forever situations? Yes. And also, you look at the very game plans that Brian Flores has implemented. He really is a chameleon based on what the offense is going to do. And frankly, haven't had that in a long time. I mean, because even going back to Zimmer's defense, like even when it was really good, again, when you have talent at all three levels, you can just sort of line up. But he wasn't reinventing the wheel. I mean, the double A gap mug look on third down was really about it. But in terms of trying to get fancy and trying to adjust your play to every opponent, didn't really see that. And obviously didn't see that last year. But it just takes me back to, it was a Thursday night game when the Dolphins were not very good, and they were playing Lamar Jackson on the Ravens in like a monsoon, and they just zero blitz, so zero safeties, press man across the board, and just blitz the living hell out of Lamar, and the Dolphins won that game. It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful, and I think that's exactly what Brian Flores is going to bring. Every single week is going to be a different game plan. I think that if the Vikings do retain Daniil Hunter, they'll play to his strengths as opposed to having him stand up and drop back in coverage, which was ridiculous last year. So I have faith because, first off, the offense is going to be good, and the offense got better. So the offense was 7th in yards, 8th in points, or flip-flop the two. So either way, this is going to be a top 10 offense, maybe even a top 5 offense. We know that for sure. Defensively, if they can just get middle of the pack in terms of points allowed, yards allowed, takeaways, all that stuff, I think the Vikings will be exceedingly dangerous. Also, you have to factor in how good the offense is, because if you're constantly putting the opposing team down 10 points, down 14 points, they get one-dimensional, and guess what? Yum time for that pass rush. So I'm pretty optimistic, shocker, about this defense going forward. I love Flores. I love the infusion of young talent. I do believe in Seen. I do believe in Ethan, Caleb Evans, Kyle Blackman, Brian Asamoah, Xavier Tamalo. I think that they're just going to bring in. Also, I think Davenport's going to pan out some of that potential. But anyways, that's it. Skull, no production value.